So anyway, I was just talking with a couple of my friends that actually have herpes, and the last few years, somebody forced it on my son. So I kind of got it forced in my armpit because it's really close to the same style of skin, so I could try to beat it. Because I had to do some crazy shit. But anyway, it's easy for a guy. You just use ice and you stretch the skin really hard during the time period, even though it fucking hurts a lot. Believe me, I know. And you stretch the skin with the ice cube and move really fucking slow, and you'll just feel it. You'll feel it a lot. Like it stings like a lot, but you can actually feel it. The slower you move and stretch the skin with the ice, it starts popping and killing and freezing all that shit. And it takes quite a few times actually. Each time it starts to happen, freeze that motherfucker. And after the first couple of times, that shit was dead less than a night, couple hours, and it was fucking dead. No more pain, nothing. For a female, it's a little more extensive. I'm a male female Gemini, so I kind of been really designing this motherfucker for like a couple of years now. And so, anyway, for females, the best way I can describe to you how to do it is to go to an adult store, buy two dildos, one that is definitely too big for you, and one that's average size, but long enough to get all the way up in you, because you have to get all the way to the hilt. I'm not even fucking kidding. And you take the dildos and you put a plastic bag around them and you wrap it tight. And then you go and buy, the easiest way is to go and buy some Bondo fiber strand. It comes in a green fiberglass container. It's in the auto section at Walmart, or you can get it at auto parts stores. It's in a can about this big. And you take a couple chunks out of that with you buy the paddles, little square rectangle fuckers, and you take a good sized chunk of that shit, so you make a fucking little pile, like I would say about a third of the can to half of the can for each dildo, and you put it on a big ass piece of cardboard, and you take about, I don't know, maybe about a line about this big, like a, and then a little of that shit, and you mix it all fucking up, and you only got like 10 minutes to work with it. And you hold that bag on that fucking dildo, and you keep scraping it off and cleaning it off and mixing it all up. You take it off, and then you wrap it around, and you make a mold so that the whole thing is encased. It doesn't have to be perfect. The bigger and thicker it is better. You might even have to do two coats, you know what I mean, of fiberglass of the whole fucking thing all the way down. Then you let it dry. It takes a few minutes. You'll feel it starting to get weird and hot. You let it fucking dry. And then you pull that off to the side, and you buy a hacksaw, a regular hacksaw blade, and then you get right dead nuts in the middle of it, and you hack the thing, cut it directly in half. This is like a do it at home thing, in case you guys don't know how. What you're doing is making an artificial mold. And you pull the bag off of the inside of it and off the dildo, set the dildo off to the side with the bag, and then you take a brand new bag and you put it inside of that. You close the mold, you put a couple rubber bands around it, and you fill it with water. It becomes an ice dildo. That right there is gonna fucking hurt your ass, but it will beat and kill that shit. And it takes quite a few fucking times, man. And it's harder for a female. And I hate to say that shit. It stings like a bitch because you gotta do it during that time period when the sacs are producing pus, and the ice, I mean, moves slow. Like, just put it all the way up in you, even though it fucking stings, and you just don't move for like probably a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and you'll feel that shit boom, 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 popping, and that's that shit dying. Like, I am not even fucking playing. And the way that disease is designed is it three-dimensional overlays. So even though you kill one pollen, one sac style, there's a fucking another one coming up next month or the next one, and they're all in different fucking combinations. So you got to do it quite a few fucking times, but it does work, man. And you end up getting mild pink scarring. I could show you my armpit. I beat that shit fucking for real, dude. Oh, man. But it takes a few times. Now, this second part of the process is a little more extensive on how to self-produce your own cure. But you can see right there, So anyway, got it forced in my fucking armpit because somebody forced it on my son. If y'all catch my drift. And anyway, I know for a fucking fact you can beat it. So that's going to take quite a few times, and it's going to have to be in the beginning of the process. Is the first time, make sure that shit sinks in. So like the second day, you know what I mean? When it's really fucking festering and it fucking hurts. I know it sucks to have to tell you that, but that's the truth. And you got to move real slow like a fucking snail. So you freeze every fucking thing. And you got to go really slow around your cervix, and you got to go really slow around your G spot because they're offset because of the pelvic bone. So you might have to buy 3 dildos, like a slightly curved one, and do it the same style of making a mold. And that's how you make the mold. After you freeze it, then you take the rubber bands off, you try to pull the mold off. If the mold won't come off, put it underneath hot water and it'll pull off. And then keep it underneath semi-warm water, release the bag, then you have a fucking ice dildo. Wear a glove, you know what I mean, so you don't freeze your hand, or use a towel, and you go up slow. Now, after a few times of just the ice and killing as much of that shit as possible, and I'm talking a couple of months, you know what I mean? This isn't like some one night fucking thing, even though you'll notice after the first 2 times that every time that time period comes back and you do it, it's dead before the next fucking morning. If you do it at night, you're not in pain the next fucking day. No, I'm that positive. I lived through it. And anyway, after a few times, you take a regular see-through drinking glass, you fill it about halfway up with urine. I know it sounds fucked up, but you fill it up with urine that has your own enzymes and your own everything. You put it in the sunshine for a day. Even though everything in there will die, it's still alive because the sunshine still recharges it. And it sounds fucking disgusting, but it works, man. It's your own urine. You've had it around that before, but it's different. Your enzymes are still alive. So anyway, after about a day in the sun, you pull it back, you go and buy a bottle of Pedialyte, and you take about another glass and you put about this much of that urine in there. That's about a cup. And then you put about maybe a little bit less than that of Pedialyte, about half a cup to a third of a cup of Pedialyte in there. Then you go to Walmart and you buy some fucking Ambisol. Comes in a round tube about this big, and you put 4, 5, 6 fucking drops in there. I would put like 7 for a female because you got more. You mix all that shit up. You take your ice dildo that you melted down just a little bit, or like, you know what I mean? Like run it underneath the bag a little bit longer, further down after the few times, so that you still have a fucking ice dildo in there. Then you put it back in the mold. You put the rubber band on it, even though it's flopping around in there, and then you hold the bag and you fill that motherfucker up with that whole solution that you just made. You fill it up, you put it back in the fucking freezer for a few hours till it freezes. And instead of like doing it like the night before, your first initial day that happens again after a few times of doing it, then you grab that motherfucker right there. And there's nothing in there that's going to harm you. Even the Ambisol is full body usable. But what the Ambisol does is it takes the cured, it takes the dead fucking enzymes that are pretty much being brought back, and it changes it molecularly so it's more like a fucking cure. That's why the Indians in India use it for their hair and all that kind of shit. It really is a truth to it. It sounds disgusting, but it does work. And the Ambisol in there, what it does is it goes right into the heart of the fucking nerves and then beyond. And it'll bring that fucking cure right into the heart of where all that fucking nasty shit comes from, man. I'm being honest. And you go really fucking slow and it'll be numb as shit. But it fucking works. And then you just alternate like every couple times after that. Then you do just ice the next time, and then just ice again, and see how fast it fucking dies and goes away. Instead of being in pain for a fucking week, you might have a couple hours. You know what I'm saying? And then you're good for a whole nother month, or however often you actually get that stuff. And that's basically how you do that. Hopefully it works out for you guys. Hence, stings like a fucking bitch the first few times. Bad. And you're going to fucking want to stop, but don't. And take your fucking sweet ass time. I'm talking 5 to 10, 15 fucking minutes, man. And for the girls, the ice dildo, make sure you do not get a point. You know, you're pretty much all rounded out in there. And you got to stretch the skin just like the male. That's why you need to make a bigger one that's bigger than what your vagina is, because you need to stretch the fucking skin so that it starts popping all the capillaries and all the extensions. Boop, 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 boop. And you will literally feel that. You will feel pop, 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 and that is that shit dying. I'm just being honest. That's how you do that. Have a good one, guys.